I am disappointed, but not shocked. It is terrible that we are closing routes to legal immigration. I expect that this will be challenged in the courts. To do the biggest project I've done called Digital Refuge, I worked with 18 Berkeley people. Based on the prior travel bans, there'll be an emphasis on the way countries were included and excluded. Why is Afghanistan first on the list, for example? And there will be challenges based on the process by which individuals with ties to the US can seek waivers and other exemptions from these overall bans. The Supreme Court made different decisions based on the facts of the different travel bans, and I believe a fact-specific inquiry is likely to follow when this is challenged before lower courts and ultimately the Supreme Court. Let me start by saying that it's a different list of countries. So the version that the Supreme Court allowed to go forward excluded some of the countries initially listed. I expect this Supreme Court, these lower courts, to start looking at the justifications for particular countries. I personally am deeply concerned, indeed ashamed, that the first country on that list is Afghanistan. I think that we have behaved in a variety of ways that are unacceptable, and by denying people who supported the US and their families what we promised them, we are not behaving in an acceptable or responsible way. So I believe the first scrutiny will be on who is included and for what reasons, and then we will need to think a lot about who should be able to petition to be exempt from this very broad-ranging measure.
Way worse.
Misinformation is a major problem for everyone, but it is especially so for migrants and refugees because there's this industry, the smuggling industry, that has a business model that's often reliant on misinformation and competes with governments that often don't communicate in the language of migrants. So governments are often not in a position to communicate in the correct languages in a trustworthy manner. So I think the misinformation environment will only facilitate risky and unauthorized smuggling. This is why closing down legal pathways, closing down the ability of the US to vet very, very extensively who comes in and who does not, is so disappointing to me.